back here you can't see no more, but it used to be the old IMU. So, and that's where I staged a lot of my time. So I thought about escaping. When you come to prison, you think about escaping. Just being a rebel. Like, everybody thinks about trying to escape when they get locked up. So anybody that says they don't, they're full of shit. It's just an idea and a thought, and I did it. Poor plan, but I fucking did it, you know?
Greenhill School gets Washington State's most violent youth offenders, period. They come there. There is no other facility that houses them like Greenhill School. That is the last stop before you go to the adult system.
I would say that Greenhill at the time, I've seen people from all walks of life come here that were considered violent. I've seen the youngest of 14 come into Greenhill. I came here at the age of 15, and you stayed to the age of 21.
And then it changed into where it's at now, where it's ranged ages 17 through 24.
So if I can break it down to my experience of what I witnessed, who comes to Greenhill, obviously Greenhill is like the state penitentiary that would equate to the Washington State Penitentiary. And at times I would even tell you that Greenhill during my tenure was more violent than what I recognized and seen and witnessed while I was at Washington State Penitentiary close custody. In close custody, wall to wall, you're gonna see more stabbings frequently and whatnot. But at Greenhill, you're gonna see more people get beat up with rolling pins, mop ringers. It's a different type of violence. Yeah, way different. I would say the Juvenile is a lot more violent because it's more emotional driven, not politically driven, if that makes sense.
A lot of the youth that were in the building he was sent to were from Seattle, Tacoma, and usually heavy hitters, because he was a heavy hitter from the local area. So he was put into an environment where it was, just say, a concentration of strong personalities.
You've seen a mass gang problem of all different backgrounds, whether it be blacks, natives, API groups, whites, and whatnot. So it was a microcosm of what society was, but more of a in a confined space. So take your state's most worst problems when it comes to gangs and misfits, and put them into an isolated, confined space and see what kind of structure or kind of chaos that you're going to be able to experience.
Over the years, Greenhill has held youth tied to a mix of Washington street gangs. These include Bloods, Crips, and various Serrano sets. Reports and former residents describe them as a silent system of order that can shape who aligns with who stays protected, and who gets targeted. What emerges, according to investigations and accounts tied to the facility, is an environment where identity can become survival currency. Gang lines influence daily movement, conflicts, and control over contraband. In that pressure cooker environment, Greenhill has often been described less as a clean break from the streets and more as an extension of them, just inside locked doors. While JD was serving his time there, his focus narrowed to one thing: getting out by any means necessary.
Is there a problem with older adults and youth being housed together? Yes, because when a 15-year-old comes into a place and there's 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, they're scared. These guys are considered adults, and this kid is a youth.
And I think too, the youth at that age are just way more vulnerable, at that time. And what that does, it creates a grooming situation where the older individuals will start trying to groom the youth to kind of get them to do any acts of violence or any other type of manipulation towards staff and stuff like that. So it usually happens that way.
So I had a lot of time on my own hands to kind of get myself in trouble and put myself in situations I probably shouldn't put myself into. But when you're bored, you make the best of your time, whether it be healthy, constructive. Most of the time it's just negative, and it made me a prime candidate to be exposed to more vulnerabilities, and yeah, I'll leave it as that.
Beyond physical violence, Green Hill has faced repeated allegations involving staff's mistreatment of inmates. Multiple lawsuits have described claims of misconduct and systemic issues.
When you're dealing with human beings, there's going to be a lot of gray area in there. And how people take different situations and how they kind of react to certain situations, it's going to be different for everything. So there's the rules that you're supposed to follow, but then also there's a gray area where, okay, this is real life that's happening to this kid. Fuck them rules. Hey, he needs to call some family. He needs to talk to somebody. He needs to get on the phone with someone who I might not be able to kind of fix that problem or help him. But we need to find someone in the building that he has a better rapport with. And so a lot of times, staff don't know how to kind of step back and realize, okay, you're not breaking a rule if you're just allowing him to speak to someone else who can really help him. You might not be that person who had the rapport with him, but this other guy in this other building who he used to be his counselor, he does. Call him over. Take that time, call him over, get him over. We can get that kind of situation resolved or at least fixed for right now.
In the early 2000s, it was common for youth in the juvenile detention centers like Green Hill to be prescribed a range of psychiatric medications. Many of these kids arrived already on prescriptions, while others were started on the medications once inside due to ongoing behavioral or mental health concerns.
Most institutions, especially like Green Hill too, is everybody was given meds. You know what I'm saying? And not that they really needed them. You know what I mean? It was just a way to keep them from acting out.
These often included antidepressants for depression and anxiety, ADHD stimulants like Ritalin or Adderall, antipsychotics such as Seroquel for severe aggression or behavioral symptoms, and mood stabilizers or sleep aids to help manage the instability in highly stressful environments.
If you give a kid that's really aggressive, they'll put them on some type of pills, you know what I mean, that calm them down. And I mean, these drugs be strong because you can see the glaze go over their eyes at a certain time of the day, and they're going to be sleeping in like 5-10 minutes, you know what I mean? Like, it was bad. One time in my wing, I had probably like maybe 15 kids in the wing, but half of them was on, some type of meds, you know what I mean? Like, if not all of them, you know what I mean? And so at a certain time of the night, once they take those pills, I didn't even have to say go to your room. By that time, everybody was starting to nod, and they'll just start going towards your room.
JD avoided being medicated and said he stayed constantly alert, always observing, always paying attention to everything happening around him. At just 15 years old, he began studying the environment in a different way, noticing patterns in movement, routines, and the small details most people ignored. And over time, that awareness slowly turned into something else, the early stages of a plan to get out.
This is where I escaped from Green Hill back then during January, during the same time. And it was more of a spur of the moment type of thing. I found out one of my friends in the unit ran to the fence just playing around, and nobody knew what was going on. And he came back and like, hey dude, you want to try to escape? He's like, all right, dude, all right, let's get it. So we ended up planning it, not even really a plan. It was like, hey, get your sheets, blah, blah, and we'll put it around our waist in school. And after school, during formation, we're gonna make a run for it. So at that time, formation was that you go to unit to go to school, or you go to the kitchen. And so we act like we're going to the kitchen because the kitchen's right here, close to the fence. In the course of that, I made sure that two of my friends that I respected at the time, they're doing a lot of time, I get in the $40 cash to play fight, make it look like it was an actual fight, so all the staff would go to that area while we're over here doing what we had to do.
While staff focused on the fight, JD and his co-defendant quietly broke away, started running across the yard unnoticed. Every step brought them closer to the perimeter fence. The noise from the fight echoed behind them as the distance between them and the guards kept growing.
So we made break for it, ran over here, hooked the barbed wire with the sheets that were from around our waist, hooked it. I got over, rolled over the barbed wire. My co-defendant at the time, he didn't really do all that. He dragged his foot, so his foot got stuck on the barbed wire. So if you can take a look. So he was hanging upside down, and I said, hey dude, like there's no way to really help you. I'm about to pull you off. And he's like, fuck, dude. And I said, so, like, it is what it is. You ready? He's like, yeah, get me down. So I ended up pulling him down, yanked him. And when he hit the ground, he looked at his shoe. He started panicking because his shoe was all red. I said, hey, bro, don't look at the wound, because if you look at it, you're going to fucking panic. And we got to go. So he's like, fuck it. So he's limping, we're limping. We beeline it down that way.
His friend pushed forward, step by step, following JD into the swamp beyond the prison fence, disappearing into the darkness while the search for the escaped teenagers began.
You can see the berm, and you think it's, if you want to take a look, that berm, that little hill, right, that flat top, you think it's straight, and it keeps going to the train tracks, and that's not the case at all. It's an illusion. So what we ended up doing, this big, like, 35-foot chunk from one end to the end is nothing but water. So we went for a swim. We were hoping we hit the train tracks and we can just get to the train and leave.
The railroad tracks were only about a half a mile away, but it was a half a mile of freezing swamp that stretched across the dark ground behind Green Hill. Right when they entered the swamp, mud sucked at JD's shoes every step as the water climbed from his knees to his waist. The deeper he pushed into the swamp, the harder it became to move. Branches and thick brush scraped against him while the sounds of sirens and search teams echoed in the distance behind him. For the last 50 feet, there was no ground left beneath them at all, and JD had to swim.
If you look, like I said earlier, that's that berm. It breaks, and then there's another section just like this, but that breaks pretty wide, and it's just one big swamp. My co-defendant, he gets up at the train tracks because the freeway was filled, blocked off with law enforcement, Washington State Patrol and local police and sheriff. And then the train tracks, they stop the train. So that kind of tells you what kind of power they have in this town to stop a train. And there's people walking down and up and down tracks. I decided to keep going, jumped the other side of the tracks, got in the swamp, it was waist deep, and I ended up going swimming, trying to hide out.
By the time they reached the railroad tracks, JD's co-defendant had given up trying to go any farther. Weak from blood loss and barely able to walk after the razor wire injury, he could not keep pushing through the swamp and brush any longer. But JD refused to stop.
Looking up at the vantage point, looking up on the hill, on the side of the freeway, I seen the whole guardrail was lined with first responders. And so I was like, well, time to go hiding. So hide and seek. So I decided to hunker down into a marsh area because it's all like tall grass. And I found a good spot. And then I found like a stalk of grass that was like, it was obviously it's winter time. It was in January, so there's all the shoots are like they're brown, it's not green. And so I found one that was a good one, and I blew through it. I can breathe. So then I submerged myself into the water, put it in my mouth, and I kind of tried it out for a little bit, and I can breathe while fully submerged in the water.
JD slipped back into the swamp water and hid beneath the surface, using hollow straw grass to breathe while he stayed submerged in the muddy water. For a moment, he believed it might work, but the police dogs kept getting closer. Their barking grew louder as they moved through the brush towards him, tracking his scent straight into the swamp. Then, the dogs found him.
They ended up finding me because I almost got my face bit by a dog. They put me up on the stretcher, brought me up there, put me on the stretcher, put me in the ambulance, took me to the hospital where they got my temperature to be back to normal. They said if it would have been a little longer, probably like another 15-20 minutes, I wouldn't be here today. So,
Chehalis firefighters and AMR paramedics warmed JD back up with heat packs and blankets as he was packed out on a stretcher. A Chehalis police officer, Washington State Patrol trooper, and Green Hill personnel helped pull him about a mile along the railroad tracks to a waiting ambulance near the steam train garage.
And I got charged. My co-defendant ended up getting 28 days. I ended up getting declined on, which means I got charged as an adult. So I do my juvenile time. Once my juvenile time was done, I had to go to the adult prison system. So they gave me a year and a day for that charge. I do 9 months on that after my juvenile life was completed.
JD's escape did more than trigger a massive manhunt. It embarrassed the facility itself. Green Hill School was Washington State's maximum security juvenile institution, a place designed to hold the state's most serious youth offenders behind layers of fencing, razor wire, and security, procedures that were supposed to make an escape nearly impossible. For JD, the escape became another part of his story, but for the facility, it became a reminder that even a maximum security institution could still be vulnerable, and they were going to make sure that he never escaped again.
Think about being in a room, complete isolation for months on end. Most people get in a fight at Green Hill, you're in a hole for a couple of days. You get a custodial assault charge. I've seen people do there 3 or 4 months. I've seen one of my other friends tried to escape from Hawthorne. Back in the day, he broke the window. He only did like 5 months in IMU, and here I did. I jumped the fence, and I was in there for almost like 16 months straight. And so I didn't understand why I was doing more time in IMU for situations that I seen other people do similar acts or whatnot.
You know, when I had interaction with him, it was always good. You know what I mean? I've never had a bad interaction with JD ever. So regardless of what everybody else might say and stuff like that, I never had that interaction with him. I never had that, negative rapport or anything. It was always positive, it was always cool. And if I had the time, I'll pull him into the office and show him stuff. You know what I mean? I'll say, hey man, this is what I'm working on right now. This is what I'm doing. And I'd be ordering stuff or buying cars and trying to flip them and stuff like that, or trying to buy property. And I was just, look man, this is things you can do. You know, when you get out of here, you don't have to do none of this other stuff. You know what I mean? I said, I be hearing shit. I ain't never seen you get caught, but I be hearing your name come up and everything.
I'm not gonna say that it was easy, because it wasn't. It was hard, especially being limited to a 23-1 program in IMU. Not much books, not much reading material. The only reading material books I had was my schoolwork to try to get my diploma. So that occupied my time a lot. But to say I didn't think about fucking damn, this is a long time I gotta do. Like that weighed heavy on my mind a lot, and it affected a lot of us being in complete isolation like that. Some more than others, you know. So this is where I believe I learned how to harden my emotions, isolate my feelings, and I became more cold to express myself vocally. So I wrote a lot of poetry about like this life and my perspective on life. So that was my outlet besides doing schoolwork, but I don't think any kid should be stuck in that kind of environment.
JD would spend the next several years growing up behind the fences of Green Hill. While other teenagers were learning to drive, going to school dances, learning to manage money, and finding direction, JD was learning how to survive inside an institution. The system said it was rehabilitating him, but by the time he emerged from Green Hill, he was no longer the scared kid who had entered those gates. The years had hardened him. The juvenile justice system had raised him through some of the most important years of his life.
When you have a kid that's on your case, so it's not just the kid, that's what people forget. You got their whole family and anybody else that's there, because the only way that they're going to be able to change is the environment that they're going back to is going to change with them. And the parents got to be aware, the family, that's whoever where they're going to be staying, they got to be aware of all the work that this kid is trying to do to change. Are they willing to support that? Some families are not, because they want this kid to get right back in the streets, because this kid was helping pay the bills, you know what I mean? So why would I want him to change? You know what I mean? I want him to get better at what he was doing and get back out there and make us some more money, you know what I mean? So a lot of times they don't want him to change. And if that's not the case, then that's how you need to have these reports, so the kids will be willing to tell you what's really going on when they get back to those same environments. Because if that's the case, then we need to help him transition to a different place that's going to be kind of like conducive for him to kind of change, you know what I mean? Because if not, you're going to have the same problem.
And then when I got out, I got released at midnight. And if it wasn't for me having friends that I've known for a long time to pick me up, just imagine me released at midnight with nothing, you know? And that's how it was back then. A broken system.